So those are the really good, deals to find. Okay. And those you can definitely most likely just talk to the owner. Okay. Okay. All right. So this is some of my favorite ways to find them. Does anybody have any questions on finding them? Now obviously you can like look in Facebook groups and like you can go onto the MLS, go to Craigsy, go to LoopNet, but we don't do that. We are grassroots all the way. That's how we talk to the owner directly. We don't go on to Craigsy, we don't go to LoopNet because that's where everybody goes. We want to talk to the owner directly because that's where you get the best deal. Okay, so my VAs, my team, my student, this is what they do. They're talking to the owners directly. Okay. Okay. So somebody asks, have you ever felt hesitant to have a VA make the calls because you feel that you may be able to make better connection with the owner as the expert? How do you overcome that? Okay. So like I said, we have 15 VAs that are making calls every day. 20 calls times 15 is what? That's 300 calls a day that our VAs are doing. Okay. And, every day I would say they get a couple of warm leads. When they call, they get like maybe one warm lead, and then every week they get maybe one hot lead. We do warm leads, which is like, yeah, maybe one day, call me back in a month or something like that. And then we get hot leads. They're like, yeah, I'd like an offer. Send me an offer. And I'm telling you, they have no qualms. Now, like we just had one where, and really the key to getting a VA to make cold calls is training them. So your employees are only as good as you, the leader. Right. So if they're not getting any deals when they're on the phone, that's because you suck at training them. That's really what it is. All right. Anybody can learn this skill. Honestly, you're calling and you're talking to people on the phone and you're connecting. And I know because I'm seeing it every day with like 15, Filipinos that are calling and making offers, so we're training them. This is one thing that I told Chris. I was like, if they're not doing well, that's because you're not training them properly. We need more training. We need to get them better on the phones, right? And and it doesn't happen immediately, but I mean, it could take months for them to get better. But you have to you got to train them. It's just like teaching the students. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't expect them to know what to do. I, as the coach, I'm the one that's like held responsible for how successful my students are, right? So I have to be a better coach and a better teacher if they're not finding deals. So so I don't have any qualms with them. Now we just had one guy, and I'm sure this is very typical, and especially tertiary markets. A lot of people in tertiary markets, honestly, have never talked to anybody outside of the country. They just haven't. And so it's sometimes they just are reluctant to talk to people from outside the country, right? We had one guy right here, so we made an offer. We're working on our fourth offer right now. He made one offer and he said no. He said, I want way more than that. So we sent another offer and he said no. And then we made one more offer and I said, look, why don't we send over the student to come and meet him? And so he did. So the student went over and met the owner. And the owner was like, the owner told us on the third offer, he said, okay, now we're getting somewhere. We're getting closer to where I feel that because I think the first offer was like 600,000. And that was at like probably an 8 cap or a 7 cap. And then we got down, it's in Texas. So really it's at he really wants like a 5 cap and we're like at a 6 cap. So we're kind of in the middle right there. But, so I talked to the student. I was like, are you okay with like a 6 cap? Because this is kind of where he wants to be. And I said, go over and meet this guy and just talk to him. And so he went over and he talked to the owner. And the owner was like, oh, I'm so glad that you came over here because like I've been talking to this like Filipino on the phone, and it's kind of hard to understand what they're saying and stuff. So that really happened. I mean, but they still took our offers. He still was working with us and taking our offers. But of course, this guy had never been 20 miles outside of where he lives in the middle of Texas in a little tiny town. Like he just was one of those types of people. So to work with, and actually it's very good that he did work with this person, honestly, because I'm sure he, he'd never really done that before. He's like, it was really hard. He told the student, it was like, it was really hard to understand this person. He's like, but I do want to sell my property. So that's why, I'm continually working with you guys. So you have that too.